Welcome in. It is day 227, and you're speaking to the Meeples Champion. And today we're going to be going over a game that I'm not very excited to talk about, but I played it. I've wanted to review it. I borrowed it from the friend that I played with a couple times, and here we go. The game is called 3 Years War. Now, the concept of 3 Years War is that you essentially are literally going to be going through 3 different rounds of all 4 seasons, and you're going to be competing. Now, the game is all about you have cards in hand, and when it gets to your turns, you're essentially bidding out. So you'll be like, okay, I'm going to bid this particular type of resource, and you usually, because of the season, there's seasonal setups for the resource associated. There's 4 different types of seasons to bid with. So you might have somebody bid one, and then all of a sudden somebody bids the one that's from that particular round, which means it's going to get a bonus. So it's almost like it's a +1 with it. And then somebody outbids that by bidding more of something lower. And so you don't necessarily have to have the trump or the current suit to win. You could bid and say, okay, we're in autumn and I bid I bid a winter, and somebody says I bid 2 winter, and then somebody else goes, I'm going to bid 3 winter, and then somebody else goes, okay, well, I'm going to bid 2 winter and I'm going to bid an autumn, and the autumn is going to give you a little bit of a bonus, and you're going to just keep building up this way, and eventually you get to the point where everybody passes and somebody wins, and the person who wins is going to get the card. They're going to get the benefits of the card, and but it's not just that you're getting the card, it's that you're going to have people dropping out as you're going. So it's an interesting payout because as you drop out, you take punishments. You're going to end up having to, you'll gain cards, but you're going to gain negative points. Depending on number of players, you'll then get to a point where it's like nothing happens. It's just you don't gain anything at all. Then you get to a point where it's like somebody starts to get like a victory point, and then eventually you get to the point of somebody getting like a lot of victory points plus whatever the payout of the card was. You have a bunch of cards available, so everybody's going to get something. But as you're dropping out, it's making it harder and harder to essentially compete. So you move on to the next season, you do it again, and you keep going through. Now, there's a whole bunch of different things you can earn in this game, and there's so much to it that I can't go into all of it. But the basics are you have your positive and your negative victory points. You have a token called Hope. Hope means at the end of the game, your negatives, you don't know what they are. Now, they're all face down. So at the end of the game, your opponent to your right, for every hope they have, they will pick things out of your negatives and remove them, and then flip them and see which ones they get rid of. So if somebody to your right has 3 hope, you're getting rid of 3 negative points. But if you're lucky, maybe you'll end up getting rid of 6 or even as much as 9. You have bigger pointed valued ones, so the odds of you decreasing your negatives goes really up because the person to your right, their hope tokens helps you. And then you've also got these other tokens that are essentially going to allow you to help to build up your board. They basically let you jump in and grab other tokens. There's a bunch of tokens going on. At the end of the day, what matters is when you get to the very end of the game, you're going to have 5 different categories that you're comparing everything in. So, and I got a little reference here so I can make sure I get these right for you. There are, let's see. There are gold, food, soldiers, and holdings, as well as cards. Now, the way it works is you're going to get a victory point from every person that you beat. So if you're in a 5-player game and you have the most gold, you're getting 4 victory points. And then if somebody else has the second most gold, they're getting 3. And if somebody else has the third most, they're getting 2. If somebody has the fourth most, and they're getting 1, and the fifth gets nothing. Then you do it for all the other ones, as well as the cards remaining in hand. So potentially, somebody could earn in a 5-player game as much as 20 victory points at the end of the game. Then they'll apply whatever victory points they earned during the game, as well as the negative points that they earned. And then they'll see who wins. Sounds simple. Sounds really good. It sounds like it's a balanced game. It's not. It's really not. I did not like this game. I played the first game. I played through it. I got whooped. Entry game. I understood. Okay, I'm learning. I figured out how it works. We'd made a mistake. We didn't have the bidding quite right in the first one. We fixed that. Now I understood how it worked. I did everything right. I was winning the whole game. It was clear cut how well I was doing. I was killing it in the game. I clearly figured out the bidding. I'd understood the concept of what things to go for. And the end of the game comes, and I didn't get a close second. I got a far away third. I got crushed. And we all looked at the game and were like, how did he get crushed? He was destroying everybody. The game's way for victory isn't balanced out with you dominating during the game. There's a lot of luck that comes into it. The idea that your negatives could be different values and you don't know which one you're getting. The fact that the person who has hope is affecting the person to their left. So it's not even like you affect what ones you get rid of. And then when it does, it's the luck of which ones they pull. So what if you have, two hope to your right and you've pulled 2 1s, 2 2s, and 2 3s, and they just happen to pull the 2 1s? That's pretty crappy. And then the idea that you have to have the most in all these different resources, even though during the game, you're trying your best to focus on them, but it's really hard to attack that because people who are taking the last place are getting extra cards, which comes with extra symbols, which helps them with future rounds. But people in the first place are getting these victory points. It's really hard. Maybe this game needs an extra play, but for me, it just was a failure. I was vastly disappointed. Now, we played this at 4, and everybody wants to play it one more time at 5. They weren't giantly into it, but they did say they'd like to see this at 5 because 5 brings in an extra high point scoring round because now you start from right to left. So essentially, you start from left to right. So whoever is in the last place will now, instead of earning a negative point and a single card to draw, will earn a negative point and 2 cards to draw. And there'll be a second to last place that doesn't get negative points, and they'll still get a card draw. So it does seem a little bit more like a 5-player might be better, but it was just a big fail for me. That being said, I want to judge on the 7 categories and see where this lands for us. So why don't we jump in and see where this one ends up. When it comes to the art, it's kind of hard to judge. Inside the box, I actually don't mind the design. I think that it looked intriguing. I was very excited when we set the game up. So definitely inside the box, I would give it in the middle, maybe a little bit above the middle. It doesn't detract. It's not bad. And it grabbed my eye a little bit. I wasn't overwhelmed and like, I have to play this. But I definitely was like, if I was in a convention and I walked by this, I would have stopped and stared. And that's a good start. Outside the box, would this get my attention if I was in a store? I do like the simplicity of it. It's not great, but it's not bad. I don't think that I would be detracted. I wouldn't be against the game. And I think some people, this art will grab a little bit, but it is pretty basic. That being said, it sounds to me like I'm giving it just both sides a little bit better, so I have to give that a thumbs up. Your components. The cards are great. Your different cardboard representations for your points, for your hope tokens, for all the different tokens, they're really nice. I think they have a really good setup for their components. I have no complaint. Thumbs up. Your cost, your price. It's not available. This is not in stores. This was, I believe it was a Kickstarter. It ran and it completed, but it wasn't like it blew up. It wasn't an amazing Kickstarter. So you're not going to find this in stores. You're not going to find it on Amazon. It's not going to be easy to find. And if it is easy to find, it's only because somebody's selling it, which means you're hoping you're either on the balance side of, did they sell it because they didn't like it and it was massively cheap, or expensive? You don't know where it's going to end up. So for me, that not being really out there, it's got to be a thumbs down. Your difficulty. This is definitely not a game for kids or beginners. Cross them off the list immediately. Then you get experienced and experts. For me, based on the game I played, ignoring the scoring, just the gameplay, I think that this game was one that was a little confusing at first, but we did pick it up roughly in those first 2 games. Again, maybe the reason I didn't like it is because we still haven't completely figured it out. So I do think that it's an expert level game, but I think the experience can play it. They just need to be, if you're experienced, you know that sometimes you have to commit to a game for a few plays. It might take 3 or 4 plays before you truly understand what you're doing. I did enjoy playing the game. I just didn't like how it ended up and was not mad that I lost. But as the group would say, we were concerned and annoyed that what we thought we understood wasn't scoring right. That being said, the experience was, I think an experienced and an expert player could play it. I'll give it enough to say difficulty's a thumbs up. Replayability. It doesn't take too long. We played this 2 times in a night, which our group doesn't usually do a game twice in a night, so it's not too long. And it did have potential. I would like to get this back to the table at 5-player and maybe come back and do a follow-up review one day and let people know if I think this game was a little bit better than I thought. But for right now, based on what I saw, I think that if the game scores the way it seems like it scores, that's not a replayable game. So maybe one day I'll do a correction on this, but for now, it's got to be a thumbs down. Keys to victory. I mean, technically, it's about those 5 different areas. I'm going to build up my farms. I want to build up how many cards are in my hand. I want to have the most money. I want to go after my experience points. So I want first, second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever, total amount of people are in your game. There's a lot of ways to judge that. I think there are keys to victory. It's frustrating because it's right now, from my experience having played, I don't know that the keys to victory are as vast as I thought. It's starting to feel like I have to figure out what that particular route is that you're supposed to do and then just do it every time. But that being said, I'm not sure. I just haven't cracked that code yet. So I'm going to give the keys to victory a thumbs up. Is the game unique? I don't think it's unique. I've played games before with seasons, with multi-rounds, so you're going through various years, with the idea of bidding, with the idea of trying to use symbols to represent your bidding, the idea of outbidding people by using more of different types of payments, with the idea of whoever wins getting rewards and different levels of rewards or punishments. I've played these games before. Can I think of one directly comparable to this? No. Is there one? Maybe. I don't recall. But I wouldn't say that this is a game that stands alone. I'd say that depending on the mood you're in, there's plenty of games that you compare to its major areas. Maybe you break this down and you say, all right, well, we're in a bidding game. Do you want to play this or do you want to go play for sale? I'll take for sale. We're in a game where it's about the symbols you're building up and the different power that they represent. Well, this one's based on yearly, or monthly, or seasonally, I should say. But you could compare it to, say, that same idea of the symbols in Dogs of War. There are pieces here and there that compare to other games, and it just feels like it doesn't stand alone enough for me. I can't think I want to play this and not immediately think of why I want to play it and not think of other games I'd say, oh, I could play that there instead. So for me, it's got to be a thumbs down. Overall, what do I think? For right now, it was a failure. I wouldn't recommend going to find this game. Even if this was mass produced, I would not add this to your collection. I think that it can be very frustrating. I'm not sure that I'd even recommend to go and really test try it. But again, I've only played a couple times. I do want to try it again because I do want to see if this can improve with various plays and if I can figure out if it was a group mistake, a rules misunderstanding, or just completely not getting what the point of the strategy in the game is. Not that there's a particular one way to win strategy, but that maybe we're misinterpreting what's important and what's not during certain rounds. So I want to give it more of a chance, but for my viewers out there, I would say it's not one you should be hunting down. But if you so happen to come across it and you find it with an expert, somebody who plays the game and likes it and can teach you, do it. Give it a try. Maybe you'll enjoy it. But don't hunt it down and don't make it a priority. Well, it has been day 227, and we've been speaking about the game 3 Years War. And you've been speaking to the Meeples Champion. Like, share, subscribe, and if I can find this on Amazon, I'll add the link below so you can add this game to your collection. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.